Welcome to KBR Knowledge Hub. So today we are going to discuss about 50 years of Kesavananda Bharati judgment. It is a famous judgment that came into force in 1973. Kesavananda Bharati versus State of Kerala. So what is this case? Why it is important to Constitution? So 50 years of Kesavananda Bharati judgment, and what happened in the judgment, and what is the meaning of the basic structure of the basic doctrine, basic structure of the Constitution. So first one here, the importance of this Kesavananda Bharati case. The concept of basic structure. Everyone knows that it came into existence in the landmark judgment, that is Kesavananda Bharati versus State of Kerala in 1973. It is exactly 50 years ago this happened. So the Kesavananda Bharati versus State of Kerala. What happened? What is this case? Why it is important for all competitive exams? And again here, important for the Constitution also. This is the landmark judgment. So right. So the basic structure doctrine is a highly controversial. And you see, highly controversial one is a pluralist judicial creation that has been accepted by all branches of the government and of the people of India. Then the Kesavananda Bharati case curtailed unlimited parliamentary sovereignty. It actually stopped the unlimited parliamentary sovereignty and started a new interpretive enterprise by recognizing the basic identity of the Constitution. The basic identity of the Constitution, which may not be destroyed by any amendment. That is the importance of the Kesavananda Bharati case. And the basic structure, a doctrine has become a thriving aspect of constitutional judicial review. That is also one point we need to understand. So now here, what was the Kesavananda Bharati case? The importance of the case. First of all, we would like to discuss about what was Kesavananda Bharati case. Kesavananda Bharati case 1973. In this case, the Supreme Court to overrule its judgment in the Golaknath case. In the Golaknath case, the upheld the validity the 24th Amendment Act and stated the Parliament is empowered to abridge or take away any of the fundamental rights. In Golaknath case, and Parliament has power to take away any fundamental right from the Constitution. But that case actually overruled in Kesavananda Bharati case. According to Kesavananda Bharati case, the Supreme Court verdict in this case, then Parliament doesn't have any power to change the basic structure of the Constitution. At the same time, it is laid down a new doctrine of the basic structure or basic future of the Constitution in Kesavananda Bharati case. So that means here, before Kesavananda Bharati, there is a Golaknath case, that is 24th Amendment Act, that is giving full power to Parliament. But now in Kesavananda Bharati case, that power is taken away. Then that means here, no one has power to and amend change the basic structure of the Constitution. This is Bharati case. And if you observe here, it also ruled the Constitution. A power of Parliament under Article 368 does not enable to alter the basic structure of the Constitution. Under Article number 368, the Parliament does not enable to alter the basic structure of the Constitution. They may be amended the Constitution, but that's not going to affect the basic structure. This means, that the Parliament cannot abridge or take away fundamental rights that forms of the basic structure of the Constitution. This is the right meaning. And what are the importance cases leading to basic structure doctrine? Is there any important cases? Is this Goloknath and Kesavananda Bharati case? Apart from that, is there any the important cases leading a basic structure doctrine? Yes. There is a case here that is called Shankar Prasad judgment in 1951. So initially, you know that in this case, initially, judiciary was the view that the amendment power of the parliament unrestricted, because the parliament has full powers, because it can amend any part of constitution, even the article number 368 also, which provide the power to amend the parliament. Under article number 368, and parliament has power to amend the constitution any part, including fundamental rights. But in Kesavananda, during the time after Kesavananda Bharati case here, then parliament doesn't have power to amend the basic structure of the constitution, even that is under article 368 also. Are you getting my point, student? Yeah, this is one thing here. And next one here, a Goloknath case versus state of Punjab. This is the second case. It happened in 1967. The Supreme Court adopted a new vision to see the powers of the parliament, that it cannot amend part 3 of the constitution, but fundamental rights and the awarded fundamental rights is the transcendental position. It's a new version, a new vision of the Supreme Court. Parliament that cannot amend part 3 of the constitution, that is fundamental rights. In part 3, fundamental rights are there. Thus awarded fundamental rights transcendental position. That's happened in Goloknath case. And that's the third case is here, Kesavananda Bharati versus State of Kerala in 1973. This is a major one and it's a landmark judgment for the Indian history, particularly towards constitution. So it gave birth to the landmark judgment, which pronounced that the parliament cannot alter or disturb the basic structure of the constitution. Parliament doesn't have power. Then again, Supreme Court also mentioned the parliament has unfettered power and to amend the constitution, but it cannot disturb or emasculate the basic structure or fundamental features of the constitution. So it has only the power to amend not for rewriting the constitution. It has a power, but anyway, parliament has power to amend the constitution, but that should not affect the basic structure of the constitution. That is the case, happened in Kesavananda Bharati versus State of Kerala in 1973. That's why it is a landmark. It's a landmark judgment in Indian history. Sorry. So now here next case after Kesavananda Bharati case, next one Indira, Nehru, Gandhi and versus Rajnarayan. In this case, the Supreme Court invalidated a provision of the 39th Amendment Act 1975, which kept the election disputes involving the Prime Minister and the Speaker of the Lok Sabha outside the jurisdiction of all courts. So now here, Prime Minister and Speaker of Lok Sabha, that's in this case, Rajnarayan case versus Gandhi, the Supreme Court invalidated because the provision there in the 39th Amendment Act in 1975. What is the provision here? Where the disputes involving the Prime Minister and Speaker of Lok Sabha, they are outside of the jurisdiction of all courts. Next one here, as part of this provision, was beyond the amending power of the Parliament. It affected the basic structure of the Constitution. That is happening in Indira Narayan Gandhi versus Rajnarayan case. So now here Supreme Court giving importance to the basic structure, the Constitution, the main motto of the Constitution, a doctrine of the Constitution, a preamble of the Constitution. So next one here, next case Minerva Mills versus Union of India. Next case. In the Minerva Mills case, the Supreme Court held that the Indian Constitution founded on the bedrock of the balance between the fundamental rights and the directive principles. This case actually the balancing between the fundamental rights and directive principles. The Parliament cannot amend the fundamental rights for implementing the directive principles, so long as it can amend fundamental rights for implementing the directive principles. So amendment does not damage or destroy the basic structure. This is the one thing we need to understand. It may be amend the directive principles, right? But that amendment does not destroy the basic structure of the Constitution. That is the verdict from the Minerva Mills versus Union of India Supreme Court. So next one here, what is the doctrine of basic structure? What is doctrine of basic structure? Now we discussed about the basic structure. Parliament doesn't have power to change the basic structure of the constitution. What we discussed all these cases, right? So first of all, what is basic structure? So the constitutional bench actually, Kesavananda Bharati case, that was actually ruled by a 7-6 verdict in Parliament, could amend any part of the constitution so long as but not amend the basic structure or essential features of the constitution. The basic structure is here, like you can take here the basic federalism, secularism, democracy, liberty, equality, all these actually, right, which is mentioned in the preamble. The court did not define the term basic structure actually, and only listed few principles like a federalism, secularism, democracy as being sparse. Are you getting my point here? So the constitution not giving any provision, it's not mentioned any provision to the explanation or definition of the basic structure, but it simply mentioned like a federalism, secularism, democracy. That's what happening here. So that is the actual meaning here. And then what is the basic structure? Doctrine has since been interpreted to include. The basic structure doctrine has since been interpreted, right? So this interpreted that include like the supremacy of the constitution. The first one. Constitution is a powerful one, not others. Not a legislative, judiciary, or else one. Constitution is a powerful one. The rule of law is one of the basic one. The independence of the judiciary. A doctrine of separation of powers, sovereignty, sovereign, democratic, republic, the parliament system of the government, the principle of free and fair elections, welfare state, and everything. These are the basic structure, right? Even though it's not mentioned, even though there is no definition of the basic structure, but you can see like this. Is it clear, right? So these all provisions included in the constitution. So now here, we will take one example here. An example of the application of basic structure is the S.R. Bommai case in 1994. Is the one example about the basic structure, S.R. Bommai case. In this case, the Supreme Court upheld dismissal of BJP government by the president following the demolition of the Babri Masjid, that invoking the threat to the secularism by these governments. Supreme Court particularly mentioned the dismissal of BJP government by the president following the demolition of the Babri Masjid. That's perfect. That's actually invoking the threat to the secularism by these governments. This is an example of the basic structure. Suppose if any threat to the secularism, threat to the federalism, threat to the freedom, liberty and equality, all these, if any basic threat, then here Supreme Court will come and protect the constitution. There are the judgments actually, if you observe from 1950s onwards. So right. So Kesavananda Bharati case actually versus state of Kerala, we can say it's a landmark judgment for the Indian constitution, and it is actually protect the basic structure or basic doctrine of the constitution. So right. Then again here, then the constitution, it is also mentioned here, constitution is a supremacy. Constitution only in supremacy in India. Everyone, it might be judiciary, legislator or executive, must work or must follow the constitution. Here the